Hi, I'm Steve from the Stonecrafting Workshop. Welcome back to the workshop. A few days ago I did a review of this, the Parkside cordless angle grinder, and I tried it out, tried a lot of cutting and various things, and I'm actually really like this tool. I'm very fond of it already. I've only had it about a week or so, and one of the things that I want to explore is just how versatile a tool this is. One of the things that really interested me was the speed dial, and that speed dial makes the difference between this being a pretty ordinary little cordless angle grinder and a very versatile little tool for your workshop. I'll show you now how you can use this tool for grinding, sanding and polishing. So join me in the workshop. So let's start with grinding. With grinding, you're normally going to use a disc like this. This just happens to be the only one of these I've got. I've been trying to buy some stone grinding discs, which will be more of use to me, but at the moment there's none in stock anywhere that I can find. So this is a metal grinding disc, and what we're going to do, we're going to fit it to the machine, and then we're just going to grind the end of a chisel so you can see it in use. To do that, we have to remove the cutting blade. So the first thing you do is take off the battery and remove the blade. I showed you how to do this in a previous video, so I'm not going to go through it step by step. It's not complicated. But there's one step of this that I want you to take note of. This disc is 6mm thick. It's much thicker than most cutting discs. You place it on with the recess downwards, and then the locking nut you turn over from the way you would normally use it. Normally on a cutting disc you have it the flat side down. This time we're going to put it with this raised boss, circular boss, downwards. And what that does, it centres the thicker disc on the spindle and holds it centred. Because this angle grinder was set up for cutting, we now have to reconfigure the actual machine. It's really simple to do with this cordless angle grinder. Put the handle to the other side and change the position of the blade guard till it's horizontal across the face of the blade, the grinding wheel. Put your battery back on, and now when you turn it over, we're going to be grinding like that. So you're shielded from the sparks and the dust and the detritus that flows backwards in this direction, and you've got control over the machine. I've clamped this chisel to the bench, and we're going to grind the end off of this chisel. It's a big old chisel, it's been abused and it's got a really fat end now and it's a bit too thick. So the other thing we're going to do is put our goggles on, protective visor. Bear in mind that these blades are either going to be silica carbide or aluminium oxide, and they're going to give off a fair amount of grit no matter what you're doing. So always wear goggles. If you were doing something dusty, you'd wear a mask. So bear in mind the speed that you want to work at. You don't have to work with this tool at full blast. So at the moment I've turned this down to speed 4. It's got a settings 1 to 6. You can see that that's a really aggressive tool. It cuts pretty well on the slower speed, and it cuts really well on the top speed, very aggressively. And I've already thinned that chisel down to a point now where I can sharpen that on my wheel. Always read the label on any blade you're going to use check what the top speed is. Remember, this particular machine has a top speed of 10,000 revs per minute and a bottom speed, when it's on speed setting 1, of 2,500 revs per minute. So from that you can work out, say you bought a disc that only had a top speed of 6,000 revs, you'd be pretty safe putting this on speed 3 or even speed 4. So that's how you use this machine with a grinding wheel. Let's set it up and use it as a sander. Before we can use this machine as a sander, we have to strip it down. We have to take this cover off because you can't fit sanding discs under the blade guard. It's really simple to do and only takes a few minutes. First of all, remove the battery and then remove the blade. Take off the backing nut and put those safely to one side. We won't need them again for a few minutes. Now, we've got to take the blade guard off and the locking mechanism underneath. And they're only held on with 3 screws, so it's not difficult. The first time I did this, the screws were on really tight. One of them was anyway. So make sure that you have a screwdriver with a head that fits it really well and be prepared for that. But once you've done it once, they come off easily. It's fitted with 3 Phillips head screws. And you simply remove those, making sure that you don't lose the little locking washers on each screw. Now if you look at mine, I've actually marked mine with an indelible pen here that says up. That was just to remind me of the way it goes. But in actual fact, what I'll do, I've taken a photograph of how this goes together. Although it's really simple, and now I've done it a few times, I'm not even thinking about it. And I'll post that at the end of the video so that if any of you ever can't get the thing back together again, you can just reference the photograph. But it's pretty simple. This comes off like that, and the blade guard is simply loose, and you can see it fits against that rim there. So put those together and put them somewhere safe. We don't need them again for a little while. The reason that this Parkside cordless angle grinder is so versatile is because of this speed control dial. And the reason for that is that if you want to use this as a sander or a polisher, then many of the tools that you can use on this machine that could fit actually will not be safe at 10,000 revs per minute, which is the top speed of this machine. You take a grinder like this. This is a really good diamond graunchy grinder that I use on my other polishing machines. That sort of weight spinning round at 10,000 revs would be lethal. Even backing discs, many of the backing discs, the Velcro backing discs, and in this case this has got a metal bonded 80 grit diamond pad bonded to it. They're just a bit too heavy to be used at really, really high speeds. Another example would be stick-on diamond discs. This is a 4-inch diamond pad on a 4-inch backing pad. At, 5,000 revs, this is probably perfectly okay, but at 10,000 revs, you're increasing the risk of the thing flying off at speed. It'd be a bit too scary to use. Even more so with something like that, which is a metal bonded disc, which is a Velcro back one. If that came off at 10,000 revs in your workshop, it would be time to go and change your underwear time. So that's why I think this speed dial is so important and so valuable to this tool. It does mean that if you're going to try something out on it, for argument's sake, you might want to try a polishing wheel. Now this I think is a bit heavy, but at the very least you could set the speed slow, try it out and speed up until you were comfortable that it was being used safely. It's also really useful if you're polishing with different types of disc. If you're using paper carbide discs, you're going to be wanting to polish at a different speed than if you're using a diamond disc, a dry cut diamond disc. And likewise, the speed will vary according to the size. I sometimes use a 4-inch disc with my diamonds. I also have a set of diamond tools with a 3-inch disc. And again, you can adjust the speed accordingly. With this little 3-inch one, for instance, you can quite comfortably work up to 6 or 7 on the speed dial on this machine. There's only one other machine I've found that's cordless that has this speed dial, and that's £160. That's why I like this machine. It's cheap. It's cheap and it's versatile. Let's do a bit of sanding on wood. To do that, we're going to need a backing pad that takes Velcro packed sanding discs. And the one I've got here is a 5-inch. And because the spindle bolt on this machine is a standard M14 thread, most of the tools that fit on angle grinders and sander polishers will fit this machine. How convenient is that? Simply turn the spindle until you've got it locked in position and spin on the backing pad. Now, I suggest when you're choosing a backing pad for this that you choose a lightweight one. This came off of eBay, cost a few pounds, and they're very light. And I think with a machine like this, a cordless machine, you don't want to be trying to spin a weight heavier than you have to. The disc is an ordinary sanding disc. This is a carbide sanding disc, and that just fits on there. Put your battery in place. Now, importantly, you want to turn the power down. Most sanding machines work at around about 3,000 revs. Really don't want to be spinning much faster than that. Perhaps a little bit faster will be okay, but certainly not 10,000 revs per minute. So before you start, turn the speed dial down to 3. We can always go up a bit if we're content and happy that everything's working well. Because we're going to be sanding wood and I'm in my workshop, I would normally do something like this outside, but it's actually blowing a gale outside. So I'm going to be wearing my mask and I'm going to be wearing my glasses. So I can't talk to you. How good is that? And what I'm going to be doing, the first thing I'm going to do is to take a chamfer along the edge of this wood. A nice, neat chamfer. How clean and nice is that? The trick with this machine, with cordless machines, is not to put weight on them. Just let the speed of the machine and the tool itself do the job. If I was doing this with a 240 volt sander, I'd be leaning on it. But this works really well, and in fact I'd be quite comfortable about turning speed up more. I've now got it on speed 4. Let's turn this over and I'll put a bull nose on this side. Oh, there we go. That was really easy, and in fact I felt on speed 5 it was a little bit aggressive for this particular job. That's the beauty of the speed dial. You can adjust it according to the job you're doing. Easy peasy. So let's polish the edge of a bit of marble. This has got a sawn finish, so it's not polished. The top is beautifully polished. And this could be a tile or the edge of a windowsill or something you want to make up. Right, so the battery just cut out, the battery overload. So I'm not going to mess about. I've got 3 batteries. I'm simply going to swap it over. And there we are, a really nice polished edge. This tool is just so versatile with that speed dial, and it's working really well. I've used 1 battery, you just saw me, go and put it on charge for all those bits and pieces, the grinding and the sanding and what have you. And this is pretty heavy duty stuff for a cordless angle grinder to cope with. So there we are. The Parkside cordless angle grinder, sander and polisher. What a versatile little tool. I'm really becoming very fond of this. Thanks for watching, and I hope it drives you to try things out on your cordless angle grinder. If you've enjoyed watching this, please give me a thumbs up. I like those. A little pat on the back is always nice. And if you're feeling particularly kind to desperate old stonemasons, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you again for watching.